Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Official Visit podcast with the Oregonians Tyson Alger, or Andrew Greif, and our guest today is Matt Hegarty, the Oregon center, newly from, well, not newly now, it's been since June you've been here, but you were from Notre Dame. Previously before that, out of New Mexico, kind of mined out of the northwest corner of the state, a place where a lot of recruiters don't go.
It's true.
But you found your way out to a pretty massive program, and now here as a graduate transfer. Welcome, first of all. And can you believe it's been 4 months since you've been on campus?
It's hard to believe. Even just hearing that number sounds a little weird now. It's really kind of flown by, and I feel really at home now. So it's kind of strange to think about a time when I wasn't here, I guess.
Do you still feel like the new guy in some ways? Or because all the other offensive linemen have said that from like the get-go, they felt like you were one of them, like you were just one of their friends. In fact, it's a pretty high compliment from the other guys in your position group. So do you feel like you're at all the new guy, or are you just in the mix?
I'd say hardly at this point. And that's what's kind of nice is I'm kind of at a point now where I know where everything is. I kind of know the routine, and it really feels comfortable. I mean, I was just watching some highlights the other day of Notre Dame, and it was just kind of funny to think, because I feel so ingrained here. It's funny to think of myself as there now because I feel like just kind of just a man of Oregon at this point right now, and so it's been a good transition.
Does Notre Dame kind of feel like you're watching them? Does it feel like an ex-girlfriend or something? Like, oh hey, I used to date them.
You do. You kind of get. Everybody was asking me that this weekend because they had that big matchup with Clemson, and they said, you want them to lose, you want them to win. How's that going? I said, hey, look, I got a lot of friends on the team. I wish the best for those guys. I said, as long as they're ranked ahead of us, just like anybody else, I want them to lose. But besides that, I wish them all the best, obviously. So
what's the worst thing about transferring after 4 years? And it doesn't even have to be football. Like, for instance, I don't think I really kind of felt comfortable finding my way around campus to like junior year as it was, and then to have to flush that, know where all the good bathrooms are, like that sort of thing.
It would probably be. An easy gimme for me is just food spots.
Okay.
I think the first month and a half I ate here, if I was trying to grab something late night, I might call in some Domino's, and I just felt like a real simple guy because I used to have some spots in South Bend, and so I've been having to pump around and kind of find some of those. You don't have your go-tos when you come to a new place, and I came from having a lifestyle, having a lot of go-tos. So
what's your go-to style of food? Not necessarily place, but just what's your go-to style of food?
So I'm a big Mexican food fan. When I can find that, if not, I enjoy pizza late night. Pizza's always solid. It's good carbs for practice the next day, and it'll help you keep your weight up, for check-ins, and that's always a good meal.
So do you like the New Mexican style food too, or just?
Yes.
Are you more of a Mexican guy?
A lot of both. New Mexico has a lot of green chili. Recipes, green chili pozole, green chili chicken enchiladas, things like that, and stuff that's hard to find outside of there. But kind of what I grew up on here, it just cracks me up because they say you eat Mexican, this many times a week, and it's like, well, where I come from, it's not eating Mexican. It's just eating for a few days. So
when I lived on Hawaii, there was a New Mexican restaurant there, and it was so hard to explain to people like, hey, you want to go to the New Mexican place? They're like, oh, when did it open? It's like, no. It's like. Yeah. Anyways, I don't think a lot of people understand the difference because it's kind of similar, spicy, whatever. But that's my story.
Yeah. No, it is. It's probably a little bit semantics for the people that don't know, but there are some some nice little differences. It's good food.
Yeah. So you're originally from Denver, and you said before we started recording that you had a ton of family members, about 17, at the Colorado game. But you're busy the whole weekend. How much time do you really get to see family? Is it just post game essentially?
It is hard. Friday night, they came to the hotel. Kind of my two brothers, their women, a wife and a girlfriend, and my parents came, and so it was kind of nice. It's kind of more immediate family, and I got to spend a little time, about an hour and a half with them, and then after the game, you get time to give pretty much everybody a hug. So each and every one, thanks for coming, and then you kind of got to get on the road. But it's it's still really nice to see everyone.
It's got to be a lot better when you have that quick interaction, especially post game, to come off with a win. So it's not there's no 10 seconds spent going oh hey, no, you guys played great, sorry,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, And it's tough too because it is your only moment to say hi, and you don't want to be a sour apple for it. But at the same time, it's you have a lot invested, so it's obviously nice to have a win in that situation.
So before we started recording, we were talking about beards and how you still have a very thick, full beard, whereas somebody on your line doesn't anymore.
Not to be named.
Yeah, we're not going to shame him on here.
We're not going to shame him, but Doug Brenner used to have a phenomenal beard. Like, that thing had every quality that you want in a good, solid beard, and you're still bearded and he's not. You feel left out. You feel abandoned.
A little bit. I was talking to Jake McCreath, has a pretty good beard. Tight end, and he was telling me he was going to shave his beard, and I was kind of like, I really started to feel left out because he's really the only other guy that's kind of bearded. And there's days I go where I think about trimming it, but you gotta stick to your guns. You gotta remember what persistence and resilience is, and it is tough, I will say, because it gets kind of tangly at this length.
So persistence and resilience, two qualities that you're saying Doug Brenner does not have.
I will say he misplaced them when he trimmed his beard.
Okay.
I will say that.
Does he get caught up in the chin strap at all? Is some guy, defenders try to use it against you in any way?
Of a pile? This past weekend was the first time I'd ever had any problems with it, and I don't know I hope it was just a one-time thing. And you get fitted for these helmets, a couple months ago, and then you're kind of reworking them before the game, and I couldn't really get how I wanted. And then it was kind of the whole first quarter, it was kind of bundled in there, and I didn't feel great. So I had some moments where I thought about shaving it.
I'm surprised with how high tech this program is, and they haven't made you shave it for the aerodynamic capabilities.
We gotta pick up the pace.
Yeah.
The beard would be the first thing to go. That's for sure.
One of your fellow offensive linemen outside said that you are the best Super Smash Brothers player he has ever played against. He said that they will have, this was Matt Pearson, starting left guard, he said that they will have one life left and you will have like 4 or 5, and then they can never find a way to beat you. Now Tyson says that he is quite a good Super Smash Brothers player as well. What makes you so good? And I want to hear you guys talk about it because I feel like there's some strategy here that could be interesting.
As a sidebar, Andrew was a very cool, what's the word I'm looking for? He was like Bubble Boy. His parents wouldn't let him play video games, watch TV, So he's the only guy who has to be like, you guys talk about Super Smash Bros.
It wasn't that they didn't let me. It's just that the only ones I played were like NCAA Football 03.
Yeah.
So
I've never. I don't even know who'd be on the cover.
Yeah, I still have 07.
Okay.
With Reggie Bush on the cover.
Yeah,
In like year
Yeah.
35 of his like 6th dynasty.
Dynasty.
Yes. We never lose.
It's the 3000s. No.
Yes.
We have a blast playing Super Smash Bros. And I like it. I like it because it's a game on N64. Everybody can play. I mean, you can bring over people who never played before. You go, hey, this button punches, this button jumps.
It's like your classic button masher where anyone can pick it up, but then you can get pretty good at it too.
Exactly.
Who's your character?
I'm a big Pikachu guy, and I like it's a lot of quickness. Which I think to answer your question, Andrew, I think the strength of my game is kind of the premeditation and just kind of having that peripheral awareness. And so when you have that speed, you can kind of set things up. You got Jake Pisarcik, for example. He's a big Donkey Kong guy.
Yeah, I'm a Donkey Kong guy too. I feel like he's the hardest character to master because he's kind of big, slow, but he's got a good death punch.
He's got a good punch behind him, but I mean, he kind of gets abused, with got a little electric mouse popping around on him. So it's we've been having a big exhibition match that's kind of getting set up right now with Evan Bayless. He claims he's a good Smash player, but I've never seen him play. But and I don't know what the NCAA rules are on betting on Super Smash, but it would probably be a good game to kind of throw some money on.
Yeah, it'd probably be
it's high stakes.
And it'd probably be a good story for us to write the next day when you guys get in trouble.
Precisely.
Premeditation and quickness. We're talking about offensive line, the job of a center, or Super Smash Brothers. It seems like there's a skill set that overlaps quite well.
And I think that's why I like it.
When you these things, just talk about like the Super Smash Brothers, like this the party you guys are thinking about having. Does this team have? Let me back up. People have said to me in the past that this team is closer than other teams they've heard of in college football. That guys will transfer in and say, "Wow, this team doesn't have many clicks that I can tell, or fairly close knit."
Mm-hmm.
Is that true? Because you are that guy who transferred in, and this is a whole. You're finding your way among the team dynamics. What were you struck by when you got here about just how the guys are around each other?
I think it's definitely a really tight-knit team. Not to say, Notre Dame was also a tight-knit team, but, I took a few visits in the spring, and there were a few places that weren't. You kind of got that feel that it was a little bit more divided. And it was kind of a little bit of a turn-off because I enjoyed, I love my guys on the line, some of my best friends, but, I enjoy being a part of, with everybody else. And that's definitely a situation here where, you can kind of just be sitting there in the locker room and you look over and it doesn't really matter who it is and you can just, have a little conversation and they're always open. And it is kind of nice because, offense, defense, skill guys, line guys, everybody's pretty open. And, I think it's a really good observation. And, that goes a long way for your team. Those types of things they're good for your dynamics.
I was going to say, like, after a loss like Utah, especially, on the outside, everybody is, fans, media, we're all saying, is this the end for Oregon? But inside, it seems like you sound like there's like a very calm atmosphere, guys thinking, hey, we're okay, we're not going to fall apart. Does that help a situation like that where maybe you're not internally, things aren't falling apart at the seams?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a few different ways to kind of go about things after that, and you can have the kind of situation where you have guys that kind of, start to kind of tear at each other and, try to throw around the blame, which is, a pretty easy situation to get into after, unfortunately a loss like that. But, I didn't see any of that really. It was guys that were, hey, let's rally, let's come back to work. That's all I heard in the locker room after that game was, man, I can't wait for Monday because guys just wanted to flush it out the system. And that's really encouraging to see because that's not a universal thing.
Your body feel any different after a game where you guys run it 62 times versus a traditional passing game?
Yeah, I didn't realize I was pretty worn out, and then somebody told me, yeah, you guys only passed the ball 4 times in the second half, and all right, well, that may have something to do with it, but I was, you definitely a little bit more worn out because at that point, passing plays are kind of your time to catch a breath, but I loved it. That's if you're an offensive lineman and you don't get juiced up, with the opportunity to run 62 times, you gotta switch positions because that's what it's all about.
How much with your guys' offense are you guys traditionally as a line pushing forward versus kind of playing a little bit more zone side to side?
I would say, a big part of our game plan is always, inside zone. Sometimes based on the overhangs, we have to kind of push it, to the sides, but I think we got a lot of. I think our backs did on Saturday against Colorado as great a job as they've done all year of we're kind of getting the push, kind of get the wrench, and then they hit the holes and get vertical and then side to side, and they were hitting holes as great as I'd seen this season, which was awesome because there was. It's only so great when you make the hole. It's if guys aren't finding it, and vice versa. They have to make a lot of plays just like they do, and it's great to have skill guys like that behind you. But it was a good mix. I felt like of kind of stretching them out and then kind of punching up on them.
The one thing that brought up that question, and I forget who exactly I was listening to, but it was basically saying the premise of the article or the radio was saying that like why college linemen aren't ready right away their first year in the NFL. It was just saying because everything in college is zone. It's not quite as much as like the, in the trenches, just push the heck out of somebody. Is there anything to that or?
I used to when I was at Notre Dame, we were kind of pro stylish spread for a little bit where it was a lot of inside zone power. And, that was kind of what you heard about Oregon offensive linemen, I think was, they'd say those types of things. Those guys are, they just run a lot of outside zone. But you come here and you watch and it's a lot, there's a lot of physicality. And I think line play is just something that really does take time, for those guys that have that man strength because so much more in the NFL now. There's a lot of, teams, incorporating a lot of the zone concepts. So, it's you got to be a man in your man strength a little bit and get you a few more years of girth on you. But I think that this type of running really transitions well.
You got a wristband on. It says "Glad to be here." What's the story? First of all, thank you for being here.
Yeah, glad to be in this interview.
I'm sure that is for this podcast.
He put it on right when he walked in the door.
I'm sure it was a message
to us.
Is there a backstory to that? What's that?
Yeah, this was actually we had Admiral McKay from the Blue Angels came in during camp to do a little talk with us, and that was their motto for the Blue Angels was always everything was glad to be here, and that was kind of when they do their debriefs. It's always they're talking about the things they need to correct, but everything was always glad to be here. And his thing was kind of a cultural, taking the time to acknowledge it. There's a lot of bands that you get, over the course of your time. But I really appreciate this one because, I think that there is a small window that we get to kind of do these, these types of things, play, Division I football here, and I think you got to come out with that kind of attitude every day. So I'm glad to be here because the amount of people that that wish they could go back and have more time to do it is endless. And kind of talking to those people through my time is kind of what made me realize, make the most of every day because when it's up, it's up.
Yeah, a willingness to go to work in some ways.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm guessing you wouldn't say otherwise, but are you happy you came out here and did this graduate transfer?
I am beyond happy. And honestly, it's gone better than I could have even imagined. I've been having a blast. I'm excited. I'm almost a little bummed because now I feel like we're in that part of the season where it starts to fly, and next thing you know, you're at the bowl game.
Yeah.
But it's been great. 5 games into it, and I have no regrets, and still excited for the rest of the season.
Yeah. When you talk about bowl game, there's always those bowl game like swag rooms that you guys get to go to as players. What's it like to go in there? So for people who don't know, it's like all the players get gifts from the bowl games, and they're totally fine, cleared by NCAA. But usually, sometimes they give you
gift suites.
Yeah, gift suites. But sometimes they let you go into a room and pick them out. Is there like a limit? What's the deal with those? Like as a player, do you just like walk in like a candy store and just get whatever you want?
You have to strategize before you're going in.
Do you get the big TV or the couch?
You try to do a little bit of legwork going in, so you know kind of what you're looking for.
Recon.
So usually the way it works is you'll get like a point system. I know how it was at Indy. It would be you get 8 points. A point was basically $50. It was essentially a $400 gift suite. So you'd go in, you'd say, I want the sound bar for $6, I want the camping chair for $1, and I want the remote control helicopter for $1. Boom, you got your 8 points. Or you're coming in and you say, I want the recliner for $7 or $8, and then you got the remote control helicopter for $1. So you kind of work it out. But
can you barter? Like if someone's like, hey, I don't like that beard on you, I'll give you 4 of my points if you shave your beard.
You could tell him
to get something and then
and figure it out later. Yeah. I believe that as long as he's not trading you any monetary value, that's okay.
Sure.
And I don't know if the beard shaving is.
I don't know why. I'm not sure why I went to that.
It's topical. It's topical.
Yeah.
It might be outlawed by the NCAA to shave your beard as a form of currency.
We'll edit that out. Don't worry. Do you have a favorite a gift that you ended up? Do you still have one from the ND days?
Yeah, actually, I have a few. I have a little sound cube. I kept it for like probably 7 months after I got it. I had speakers and I didn't know what to do with it. I said, I don't really need this. I busted it out and I still use it to this day. It's a great speaker. I have a sound bar from last year. Actually, honestly speaking, the best gift I probably have is a 1-point camping chair that I got, a fold-up chair.
That's a solid buy.
I wish I'd have got two or three more maybe. It's my company chair. When people come over, I just throw the chair out. They go, "Wow, what a comfy chair you have." I say, "It's from the bowl game." Yeah. And then when they're done, I fold it up, I throw it in the corner. It takes up no space.
That's actually really smart.
It's kind of bachelor, but it works.
Especially for a guy who drove 19 hours from New Mexico here. You need all the room in that truck you can get. There's no room for a recliner. Throw that camping chair.
Exactly. The camping chair goes a long way in the truck bed.
This summer we bought 2 kind of nice outdoor chairs. They suck. They're big and they'd be the more traditional. You'd be like, oh, these are great. I would so much rather just have 2 basic camping chairs than those freaking things. Anyways, it's
It,
good,
no,
good buy.
It
Good
was
buy.
it was like I said, it was very solid. After I got it, that was my biggest regret of that gift suite was not getting more.
So is that the advice you're going to pass down to the freshmen this year? Is don't always go big with
Don't-
you don't always need the Beats headphones. You can go for just a nice.
You don't
camping
always have
chair.
to ball out. You could you got to be. My buddy last year got a cooler. He looked up online what held the most value realistically, and he looked up. He said the cooler is worth what they say it's worth. He goes, I'm getting the cooler and I'm getting 2 camping chairs. And I said, you know what? He was a good old Indiana guy. He was he liked to fish, and the cooler was probably a good use for him. And it was just so there's a lot of different ways you can go with it, or you can get 8 pairs of headphones. Who knows?
Perfect.
Sounds like a good approach for a business major like yourself at Notre Dame, and I'm sure you had like-minded friends.
Yes, I can't help but kind of think about all the different ways to break it out.
Well, best of luck to get to a great bowl game this year where you get a phenomenal gift suite.
That's what you're hoping for. No.
Well, thank you, Matt, for joining the podcast, talking about everything from Pikachu to camping chairs.
I think we covered it all. Thank you, Andrew, and thank you, Tyson. That was great.